Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. I'm so glad you're here and you've listened to the podcast. I say it all the time and I will continue to say it. Really appreciate you because you have helped the podcast get ranked in the top 5% of all podcasts globally, according to Listen Notes. So thank you for listening in and help us keep it going. Review, rate, subscribe, and it'll be a huge help for us. Thank you for that. Now, today, I'm talking with Karen Bartholomew. Now, let me tell you about Karen. She's the founder of the Pause Method. All right, I'm already wanting to pause and hear more about it. All right, the Pause Method is a coaching philosophy that empowers women and leaders to embrace intentional reflection, gain clarity, and take decisive action. Through this method, Karen helps clients slow down, who doesn't need that, realign, and step into their full potential with confidence. Her approach helps people release false beliefs, uncover empowering truths, and design strategies for success in both business and life. Karen's journey began 14 years ago, feeling stuck and disillusioned with life. And she knew she needed a change. And that's when it all happened. And you'll have to stay and listen to the episode to hear how it turned out. But now she helps others break free from their own false beliefs, releasing old patterns and beliefs that no longer serve us. Welcome, Karen Bartholomew.
Thank you so much. It's so great to be with you.
Okay, I'm so glad you're here. Now, you heard me read your introduction. Um, why don't you tell us in your own words two things? First, something about you, whatever you want to say about yourself, and then about the work you do.
All right. Well, for me, it's been a journey. I actually came from a family sandwiched between two boys. And so in my generation, I don't know if it's for everybody, but in my generation, the boys were the favorite, right? And it's because I was sandwiched between two of them, right? I was the girl that did all the chores and did all the stuff. And, I just was that person. I already thought that there wasn't enough love in the house for me because they were favored. And then we had two more kids. My parents had two more kids. And I really, at 12 years old, was like, ran to the bathroom when I heard my mom was pregnant. And I locked myself in there and cried my eyes out, thinking, there's no more love. Like, I'm going to just be lost. And so, interesting enough, I didn't feel seen, heard, matter, and all that good stuff, And as children, we need all those things, right? Seen, heard, and loved. And I think it was just a roller coaster ride for me. Like I had it for a moment, then I didn't, then I had it, then I didn't. And so, when I became an adult, I was pretty lost. And after I had my third child, which was 38, you know, ending up with the wrong guys. I mean, everything happens for a reason, but I attracted the wrong people because of my perception of my reality, which I'll get into more of that a little bit. However, there came a time when I was just kind of sick of me. I was sick of doing the same thing. I was sick of making the same mistakes. And I'm like, why does this keep happening? Right. And so someone introduced me to a personal development class that I took on, and I was really able to take it on fully, embrace it for 4 months. And I just kind of found out how I lived life. And I'm like, ugh, right now I know. What happens is, you do things from the subconscious of how we're raised, and we bring all those things that everybody else piled upon us into our adult life. And then we kind of like figure out that we kind of don't like some of that stuff, right? But we don't know any different. So we take our history with us, and subconsciously we're just kind of on autopilot doing our own thing, right? And I found out what my autopilot was, really being under understanding the subconscious and bringing it consciously to myself, and asking someone asked me the right questions, and realized I really didn't have to live there anymore. However, once you end certain classes and or things that you take, if you don't stay with it, like as you lose it. And so, through many I worked for different coaching companies. And through all of this, what I realized was that there's a lot of sales coaching, um, and business coaching, and there's a lot of mindset coaching, but I could not, nothing was this together. So when I was coaching people, people would ask, I don't know how you move them. And I would explain to them, that because I really listened to each one of them, right? And was able to kind of coach them personally on how to break free from those limiting beliefs they had from the past to move forward into and change their nervous system and all that. And I just got to a point where I didn't want to work for other organizations and I wanted to do it myself. So that's what I did. I just started a new coaching program. I'm like, I'm going to do this myself the way that I know works, how to free people from the constraints of their past and move it forward. And I created the pause method because I realized I was doing that myself. I went through that journey myself. And I'm like, wait a minute, I need to take that and put it into something so I could teach other people how to do it too and break free from their own constraints of their past, right? And have this amazing, joyful life. And so that's how the pause method started. And I created an acronym for pause, which basically means, to perceive, right? To become aware, to acknowledge what's going on, to unwind it and really like get in the nitty gritty to figure out what's going on and then shift your narrative and perspective to move forward into the new life that you want to design. And so changing that inner narrative and creating lives that really feel aligned and not just accomplishing because someone else is telling us how to live our life. Right. So that's really how it came about. So it's been a journey and it hasn't been always easy, but it's been so rewarding. And if people do the work, the other side is a really bright light of just amazement. And you're only limited to what your imagination will, as small as your imagination, because your imagination is huge. And I always say in uncertainty, there are tons of possibilities, right? But what happened is in uncertainty, people create fear and they bring all that history forward and they don't move, right?
Yes.
But if it's unknown what's going to happen in 30 minutes from now when we're done speaking, right? And we know that this universe is working for us, not against us, right? Because everything happens, bad things have happened to people, but like they can take that forward through their healing and help other people. Well, then what really is the fear except for a limitless amount of possibilities for us? And so
Yes.
that's kind of how I got there. I came to this work out of necessity for me to free me, right? I was really successful outside, but internally I was really stuck, unfulfilled, disconnected with who I truly was, didn't even know who I was. I knew I was a good mom and I knew I was a good single mom and I knew I could create a business and make money. But I mean, there's more to life than that. So I just kind of reached a breaking point and I decided to push through, pause, and it really just changed everything for me, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I really, really encourage people just to interrogate the stories that they're telling themselves and really find someone that can help you, love you, and support you and break through it,
Yeah.
to transform yourself.
Yeah. That's a tremendous journey that you're sharing with us. All right. So now you skipped over this, but let's go back to this because
Okay,
I
yeah.
feel like, and I said to you earlier, I think, your story is going to really inspire someone who might be having a similar experience. And
Mhm.
you just said you felt stuck and unfulfilled. Say more. How did you know? Like, can you give us some background? What were you doing in terms of work and or career? And how did you know you were feeling stuck and unfulfilled?
I think that I ended up with men that didn't see me. I think where I was stuck, that I walked in the adult world believing I didn't matter. And so, if that's your perception, then you attract people that make it true. And so, I think I just knew that I had too much love not to like, you know, have it come out of me. Um, but I didn't realize that I was searching for things to fill me up when really everything I needed was inside of me. And I didn't even know that because the love and respect and everything is inside of me. It's just that when you're in a situation, that who you are, that version of yourself that you love so much was always in you. You didn't need that person, right? It just happened to come out.
Yes.
And so, and I'm working with my daughter right now on this. It's like you miss that person, but that person is still there. You can have that version of you anytime, you know, once you feel it and you know it, right? Then it's like it was inside of you. It wasn't because of that person. That person's gone, right? You can have that at any given time. So I had to learn that because I don't think I liked myself. I think I was just living for everybody else, living what everybody else wanted me to do, how I was supposed to act, how I was supposed to speak, you know, I had to meet, almost like fix everything in the family. I have 4 siblings, 5 actually. When there's something wrong, it's like, my dad would say, can you just call? And I'm like, I'm tired of being the person to fix everything, right? It's time for me to work on me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think I got tired. I was exhausted.
Yeah, that will do it. You get to a point
Yeah.
where it's just so exhausted, you just have to make a change.
Yeah.
Now, was that around the same time, or was it a different time when you said you were thinking it's time for you to do your own business? Where are we in the
So
journey?
that actually came up about 5 years ago. And then I found myself in another situation that I was coaching for another company and working for another company, 2 different businesses with the same individual. And I realized that I ended up working for someone that was kind of like my past relationships. I found myself back, yes, in that situation. So, and oh my God, I was so frustrated. I remember it was 3 years ago, it might have been 4 years ago at this point, this June. And I found myself so stuck that I didn't know which way to move. And I remember one of my employees came to me and he goes, I've never known you not to be able to fix something or not to be able to know what to do next. I'm like, yeah, I'm really, really stuck. I don't know which way to move. I mean, it was like I was almost like frozen. Um, and I had to find the strength to leave. And then I found a mentor that helped me have the right words to leave, right? And I did it in a 3-minute meeting. I didn't give myself any more time. And anything that came across the desk, I literally just said, okay, all right, knowing that I was very calm. I was very, knew what I needed to do. And I walked out, and my kids were the one that said, Moms, it's time. It's time for you to start your own business.
Oh, your kids
My
knew.
kids did it. Yeah. My kids are
Oh.
the ones that always tell me they know me so well. They were the one, Mom, you've been doing this for so many other people for so long, and you typically are doing it for very little money or if none, just as a give back. I think it's time that you need to impact people the way you want to. Bring the 2
Wow.
worlds together, help them scale their business, help their businesses, help their mindset, help women, right?
Mhm.
Get unstuck and put their oxygen mask on first so they can be better versions of themselves for other people, their families, their kids, their whatever, while they
Right.
do some self-care for themselves. So I was like, okay. And then it just,
You didn't resist at all? You just
I didn't
immediately?
resist at all.
Oh,
It's interesting when the right person shows up, right? Like you
yes.
hear it.
You resonate. It rings true for you. Like,
Yep.
yes, this is the thing for me.
Yep. Yep.
And it sounds like you just immediately set out to do it.
I did. I did. I literally like found, I called it masterpiece consulting and coaching because I was like, everybody has a blank canvas. Everybody can create a masterpiece of their life. So let's help women create masterpieces.
I
Like
love that.
it's never ending. And so that's one of the exercises I do with my clients is like we paint. We have a blank canvas and we paint. After they do their work, like let's paint a masterpiece. That's the end of a seminar, right? It's amazing what they create and they take home, right? So, sometimes it's a jigsaw puzzle, right? I like to take that painting and you can send it in and get a jigsaw puzzle of it, right? So in
Can.
my every little piece of the self that you are designing for the next chapter of your life, right, is just a puzzle piece to your bigger picture, your bigger masterpiece. Um, and so it's so rewarding seeing these women start from a stuck place like where I was and
Mm,
getting to the other side.
Yeah.
Um, just letting go of that identity that someone else gave you
Yeah.
and letting go of the version that just didn't work, that was just surviving, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say now you have purpose in your life and work?
Oh, yes. Yes. I say no to more things now too. I find. Yeah, because now it's like, I get to like have an impact. I have, I'm pretty busy between coaching and um podcasts and whatnot. But, people get to hear that they're not alone, right? Um, that there is a different way, that they can still be an amazing mom and an amazing wife and still have their life too. That whoever told us when we were small, when we started getting older, stop dreaming, you need to get responsible, right? And get a real job. I'm like, we can still keep dreaming. We don't have to give up on all those things that we loved when we were younger. We can incorporate them and still have an amazing life, right? Um, yeah. So I think that, the fixer, the people pleaser, all these things that we do, um, I like people to explore themselves versus searching for something outside of themselves to fill them up.
Yes. And I'm imagining you have some ways that people could search, which is kind of connected to what I was going to ask you anyway. I was
Yeah.
going to ask you, what can you say to the woman who was at the place where you were when you were feeling stuck and unfulfilled? And she is successful in her work by everybody else's measure. She, checks all the boxes, got the promotions, and it looks fine on the outside. But on the inside, she's feeling unfulfilled, but feels like she can't say anything because everything looks okay on paper. But she's looking for more meaning and purpose.
I
What's
think
something from your experience or from your work that you would say to her?
I think the first thing was as far as, taking a pause to really do some deep soul searching. Like I started my pause by walking to the mailbox, like giving me a timeout to walk because I lived on a hill. And so, I'd walk all the way down the mailbox and all the way up. And I just decided that that was going to be a me time to go out and just connect with nature and just really start thinking about what do I really want to create? What do I really want for me? Aside from the mom and the marriage and all the things that everyone else tells me what to do, if I really listen to just me, like what would I design? And that was my first step in just taking a pause. I also took a pause when I went into the kitchen because I found myself working all day without eating, right? And so I took a pause to go, let me just go in the kitchen for a moment and just really think about what do I need to do to give myself to nurture myself from a nutrition standpoint so I can be the best version of myself for the next 2 hours, right? And then let me think about what the 2 hours after that when these 2 hours are done. So, those are two things. I took a pause because I was getting dehydrated all the time, right? And so I found that if I put a water bottle, because we're supposed to drink water, and I put a water bottle on my desk, I wouldn't drink it. So I'm like, this is crazy. I need to figure out how I can drink more water so I'm more healthy. So I figured out that I got this Zach thing off Amazon, and then that wasn't working. So then I had to take, okay, wait a minute, this is ridiculous. What am I doing? Then I put a straw in it, and now I drink like 3 of these a day. So
The
it's really
straw did
just
the trick.
the straw did the trick. Now, when I get dehydrated, I know what it is. I'm very aware. Oh my God, I need water. But before, I didn't even know that I was dehydrated because that was my norm.
Mm,
Right? So it's just small little time outs for ourselves just to check in and go, what do I need right now? Right? Like, what do I need? Do I just need to meditate for a while? Do I just need to get out in nature? Do I just need to like look at the stars, look at the sky? What do I need for me? And then literally give yourself permission to take it. You can even tell your family. I know women now that like, I'm going on my walk, right? They take like 15-minute walk and everyone in the house knows that that's mommy time. And some kids will go up to her and say, can I go with you? And she's like, nope, this is my time. And she does not feel guilty about it. She gives herself permission to take that 15-minute walk after dinner. right?
Good
So,
for her,
and
but
that's
and
her
for
time.
things like that, that you encourage, I'm sure, your pause, because it's things that we just don't often think about. If you're in the habit of not
Yes.
doing it, if you're in the habit of
Yeah.
going and doing and going and doing. So all those ways that you pointed out to pause are examples that somebody listening can do right now.
Yeah.
They can
Right now.
start today in
Yeah.
this moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much
Yeah.
so. Like
I
taking a pause, the women that or the people that are listening, right? And to all your episodes, they're taking a pause. Like whether they know it or not, there's a nugget that they're going to get from every podcast, right? Um, in the car, like whatever it is. They don't realize it's a pause maybe, but like really, yeah. So there's so many things that we could be doing, right? So
yeah.
many things.
I love
So,
that. And I also noticed that when you were talking about the turning points, your questions revolved around what do I want? And I think that's something else that sometimes is hard for women to connect with and even ask the question, what do I want? And I
yeah,
think
it's
it's key.
oof,
Yeah,
so key.
yeah,
So key.
yeah.
Um, I think that freedom is in the space between the trigger that triggers us, right? And then the response. So like the pause is in between the two, right? Because we're human beings and we're reactional beings and we just want to like, but really if we just, okay, I'm triggered. Let me just explore that for a minute. Why am I getting triggered? Right. Um, I'm like, oh yeah, because my mom or my teacher used to tell me not to be a troublemaker. And then I hear that, right? And then I'm always trying to stay out of trouble, but then I attract trouble somehow because I'm focused on not getting in trouble, right? it's like,
Which
it's
really
like
puts
the weirdest
trouble in your
dynamic,
mind.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I talk about autopilot and I just posted something on my Instagram story on Monday and then I had a bunch of questions. So I posted something today about, let me just, I've got a lot of questions. So let me like break this down a little bit more. But autopilot's like, remember when you learned how to drive and I learned to stick. I think you did too,
So did
probably.
I. Yes.
So, it's like, oh my God, the clutch and the stick and the rear view mirror and this mirror and your parent over there yelling and whatever they're doing, right? I mean, my dad was great. I learned in a Volkswagen van, um, going uphill. But back then, man, there was so much to think about. And now we can get in the car and put our mascara on and we can do this, that, and the other. And we're in our driveway and we don't even know how we got there.
No idea.
No idea. That is our life, like literally 90% of the time, every single day.
All the unconscious activity that's happening,
Yeah.
not even being aware of it. So no
Yeah.
wonder we don't know what we want. And so no wonder we don't know when it's time to pause. So no
Yeah.
wonder we get exhausted to the point that you did when you had that change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We think it's
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah.
It's like being dehydrated. Well, that's just normal.
Yeah.
But you don't realize it's not normal until you pause and then you can get to be a more healthier version of you, you know.
Yeah. Well, you have given us such nuggets, and I'm imagining people are just taking them away. But I want to give you time to say one more thing if there's something that I didn't get to ask you that you want to talk about. If something popped in your mind, or you just say, oh, I have one more thing. Or if not, that's okay. And then we'll tell people how they can get in touch with you. So if there's anything on your mind that you want to leave as a closing thought or one more thing, this is the time.
Yeah, I think I want to just kind of like go through the pause with some questions people can ask themselves so they actually have a tangible tool that can help them move throughout the day. So when we talk about the pause method, right, it's like the P stands for perceive, like the pattern recognition, like identifying that belief that you have that's shaping your current experience. So the question would be, what story am I telling myself right now? And is it rooted in truth or is it rooted in past conditioning? Like, in other words, maybe you weren't safe as a child, right? But is that true today? Right now, so for some people, it could be very true, but that's just an example, right? So, awareness is really the first step to freedom. So, we're pulling this out of the subconscious into consciousness, right? The next one is acknowledging, just accepting what is without any resistance or judgment. I literally challenge people at different times during, our work to do a timeline of everything that you remember, basically, and go back and without any judgment or opinions or like, getting stuck, just look and see what you remember and then look at the timeline. That's how I started this work. And I saw that every 7 years, it's like everything was good and then something happened. Like, so I felt love and I mattered and I didn't. And then I did, and then I didn't. And then I did, and then I didn't. And so that roller coaster of life, right? We take into our adult life and then we just pick people and things that keep it going, right? And so to really like, to really accept it and look at it and do that timeline and go, oh, now I remember, right? What was going on. So I know one of my mentors says that life will present people and circumstances to show you where you're not free, which means where you're not healed, right? So that's why we go back and we have to go, well, where'd that come from? Ah, yeah. But that's not true today, right? That's not who you are, right? That's who you were when you were 14. But you're not 14 anymore, right? You're not the same person you were yesterday. You're not going to be the same person after this podcast, after you've heard all this, because something's going to be different in your thinking, right? Which is going to be different in your feeling and your behaviors and your outcomes, right? And so that's that acceptance part, right? It's not resignation. It's the key to shifting a perspective. And then the U stands for unwind, to really untangle and understand it. Like, here's where we separate fact from fiction. The lie that we're hanging on to. Yes, evidence 14, but is it true today? Probably not, right? And so we want to like understand, what is this? What if this belief isn't true? What if you saying you're not safe isn't true? That you really are safe. You have your home, you're with your family. Is there anything that's not safe here? You have an alarm system on your house. So you're safe, but maybe not when you were younger, right? And then what's the situation trying to teach you? Okay. Because the universe works for us, not against us. So everything that's happened in our life is working for us, which is why I'm here. Because everything that's happened to me, all the trauma, all the single parenting, I've been a single parent for 26 years, and all that happened, right? And here I am, right? I get to take all that now and like give it away, right? And help other people. And so this is a space between the reaction and the response, right? The point of real power when you look at that gap and see what's happening, right? And then shifting your narrative, right? So reframing the old belief into an empowering truth. So the old belief that we can leave, which actually is where fear comes from, because something happens and you pull all the history from the past, and that's what the fear is, right? But if we really don't know what's going to happen, and I would say everything you've ever feared, how many times has it come true exactly how you feared it?
No, right?
Probably never.
Right.
Never, right? So that fear really is from the past, and you're not the same person. So really, like, you can break free of that fear. It takes some work, but to live in the present, right? And then okay, so and then if so here's what happens, the nervous system, right? So we can see people that are on the other side of us when I ask certain questions. Like when we go back in time and we're like, wow, how did that feel as that child? And they're, most people will say it's exhausting. It's like, oh my God, to live in there now, because I'm living in that space now. But then we ask them like, well, what if that's not true anymore? And you can live from here on in this space. You can see people's nervous system, like feel it in your body, what it feel like to live there. You could see them relax and their nervous system like kind of just change, right? Like, wow, that would be amazing if I didn't have to carry that around with me anymore. It's like taking a backpack and filling it with all your fears, the hammers. One hammer, that's one fear, another hammer, another hammer. Carry that around all day. See how that feels, right? So that's what that we say, to be able to rewrite. If we're already free and whole and worthy, how would I show up? Your imagination is limitless. That's where we get to rewrite the narrative and pivot into new possibilities.
Powerful
Right?
tool.
Yeah. So freedom really is just a thought and a practice, right? That you just continue. Right. So that's what I want to leave people with, right? And, obviously they can reach out to me and we can talk more. They can go to my Instagram story and see things. Um, but yeah, I love helping people from unstuck to freedom.
It's clear your passion is coming through.
Yes.
And I'm guessing there are people saying, yeah, how can I hear more? So say again where people could follow you or contact
Yeah.
you.
So they can get a hold of me on Instagram, just Karen Bartholomew. It's just my name. And also on Facebook, it's just my name. It's very easy, right? I have a new website coming out that'll probably be out within the next 30 days. It's almost done. I will be posting that as soon as it goes live. And then we have, yeah, we have, group coaching. We have coaching. We have a retreat in June that's coming out in Sonoma, California for 15 women. It's very private, safe container for women to come together and go through this work. So if somebody wants to learn more, they can always reach out to me. Yeah. In all those
Uh,
spaces.
it sounds like you're doing amazing work and really making a difference, Karen. So I'm
Thank
glad you stopped
you.
by in the
Yes,
midst of your
thank you.
travel too, to come
Yes,
by
thank you
and be
so
a
much.
part of the podcast. Really appreciate you for being here.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone, I'd love to hear your response to the episode, and you can reach me. I'm on social media, but I spend most of my time on LinkedIn. So drop me a message at Robin L. Owens, PhD, at Robin L. Owens, PhD, on any of the channels. But like I say, I'm mostly on LinkedIn. And until next time, this is Dr. Robin.